The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 3, Section 4, The Future of India, Part 2. But it is one thing to gain an advantage and another thing to preserve it for evil use. Whenever power is used for evil, it becomes diabolic. It must be used for good only. So this accumulated culture of ages, of which the Brahmin has been the trustee, he must now give to the people at large, and it was because he did not give it to the people that the Mohammedan invasion was possible. It was because he did not open his treasure to the people from the beginning that for 1,000 years we have been trodden under the heels of everyone who chose to come to India. It was through that we have become degraded, and the first task must be to break open the cell that hide the wonderful treasures which our common ancestors accumulated, bring them out and give them to everybody. The Brahmin must be the first to do it. There is an old superstition in Bengal that if a cobra that bites sucks out his own poison from the patient, the man must survive. When then the Brahmin must suck out his own poison. To the non-Brahmin caste, I say, wait, be not in hurry. Do not seize every opportunity of fighting to Brahmin, because as I have shown, you are suffering from your own faults. Who told you to neglect spirituality and Sanskrit learning? What have you been doing all this time? Why have you been indifferent? Why do you know, fret and fume because somebody else had more brains, more energy, more plucks and go than you? Instead of wasting your energies in vain discussion and quarrels in the newspapers, instead of fighting and quarreling in your own homes, which is sinful, use all your energies in acquiring the culture which the Brahmin has, and the thing is done. Why do you not become Sanskrit scholars? Why do you not spend millions to bring Sanskrit education to all the caste of India? That is the question. The moment you do these things, you are equal to the Brahmin. That is the secret of the power in India. Sanskrit and prestige go together in India. As soon as you have that, none dares say anything against you. That is the one secret. They take that up, the whole universe, to use the ancient Advaitist smiles, is in the state of self-hypnotism. It is will that is the power. It is the man of the strong will that throws, as it were, a halo around him and brings all other people to the same state of vibration as he has in his own mind. Such gigantic men do appear, and what is the ideal? When the powerful individual appears, his personality infuses his thoughts into us, and many of us come to have the same thoughts, and thus we become powerful. Why is it that organizations are so big, so powerful? Do not say organization is material? Why is it, to take a case in point, that 40 millions of Englishmen rule 300 millions of people here? What is the psychological explanation? There, these 40 millions put their will together, and that means infinite power, and you 300 millions have a will, each separate from the other. Therefore, to make a great future in India, the whole secret lies in organization, accumulation of power, coordination of wills. Already before my mind rises one of the marvelous verses of the Rigved Samhita, which says, be thou all of one mind, be thou all of one thought. For in the days of yore, the gods being of one mind were unable to receive oblations. That the gods can be worshipped by men is because they are of one mind. Being of one mind is the secret of the society, and the more you go on fighting and quarreling about all trivialities such as Dravidians and Aryans and the question of the Brahmins and non-Brahmins and all that, the further you are off from the accumulation of energy and power which is going to make the future of India. For Mark, for Mark you, the future India depends entirely upon that. That is the secret accumulation of the willpower, coordination, bringing them all as it were into one force. Each Chinaman thinks in his own way, and the handful of Japanese all think in the same way, and you know the result. That is how it goes throughout the history of the world. You find in every case compact little nation always governing and ruling huge unwieldy nations, and this is natural because it is easier for the little compact nation to bring their ideas into the same focus, and thus they become developed. And the bigger the nation, the more unwieldy it is, born as it were a disorganized mob. They cannot combine. All these dissensions must stop. There is yet another defect in us. Ladies, excuse me, but through centuries of slavery, we have become like a nation of women. You scarcely can get three women together for 5 minutes in this country or any other country, but they quarrel. Women make big societies in European countries and make tremendous declarations of women powers and so on. They have then they quarrel and some man comes and rules them all over the world. They still require some men to rule them. We are like them. Woman we are. If a woman comes to lead woman, they all begin immediately to criticize her, tear her to pieces, and make her sit down. If a man comes and gives them a little harsh treatment, scold them now and then, it is all right. They have been used to that sort of mesmerism. The whole world is full of such mesmerists and hypnotists. In the same way, if one of your countrymen stands up and try to become great, we all try to hold him down. But if the foreigner comes and try to kick us, it is all right. We have been used to it, have we not? And the slaves must become great masters. So give up being a slave. For the next 50 years, this alone shall be our keynote. This, our great Mother India. Let all other vain gods disappear for the time from our minds. This is the only God that is awakened. Our own race. Everywhere his hands, everywhere his feet, everywhere his ears. He covers everything. All other gods are sleeping. What vain gods shall we go after, and yet cannot worship the God that we see all around us, the Virat? When we have worshipped this, we shall be able to worship all other gods. Before we can crawl half a mile, we want to cross the ocean like Hanuman. It cannot be. Everyone going to be a yogi, everyone going to meditate. It cannot be. The whole day mixing with the world, with karma kanda, and in the evening sitting down and blowing through your nose. It so easy. Should rishis come flying through air because you have blown 3 times through the nose? Is it a joke? It is all nonsense. What is needed is chitta shuddhi. What is needed is chitta shuddhi, purification of heart. And how does that come? The first of all worship is the worship of the Virat, of those all around us. Worship it. Worship is the exact equivalent of Sanskrit word, and no other English word will do. These are all our gods, man and animal. And the first god we have to worship are our countrymen. This we have to worship instead of being jealous of each other and fighting each other. It is the most terrible karma for which we are suffering, and yet it does not open our eyes. Well, the subject is so great that I do not know where to stop, and I must bring my lecture to a close by placing before you in few words the plans I want to carry out in Madras. We must have a hold on spiritual and secular education of the nation. Do you understand that? You must dream it, you must talk it, you must think it, you must work it out Till then, there is no salvation for the race. The education that you are getting now has some good points, but it has a tremendous disadvantage, which is so great that the good things are all weighing down. In the first place, it is not a man making education, it is merely and entirely a negative education. A negative education or any training that is based on negation is worse than death. The child is taken to school, and the first thing he learns is that his father is a fool. Second thing, that his grandfather is lunatic. And third thing, that all the teachers are hypocrites. And the fourth, that all the sacred books are lies. By the time he is 16, he is the mass of negation, lifeless and boneless. And the result is that 50 years of such an education has not produced one original man in the three presidencies. Every man of the originality that has been produced has been educated elsewhere and not in this country, or they have gone to the old universities once more to cleanse themselves of superstitions. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs riots there, undigested all your life. We must have life building, man making, character making assimilation of ideas. If you have assimilated five ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart a whole library. The S carrying its load of sandalwood knows only the weight and not the value of the sandalwood. If education is identical with information, the libraries are greatest sages in the world. The encyclopedias are rishis. The ideals, therefore, is that we must have the whole education of our country, spiritual and secular, in our own hands, and it must be on national lines through national methods as far as practical. Of course, this is a very big scheme, a very big plan. I do not know whether it will ever work out, but we must begin the work. But how? Take Madras, for instance. We must have a temple, for with Hindus religion must come first. Then you may say all sect will quarrel about it, but we will make it a non-sectarian temple having only Om as a symbol, the greatest symbol of any sections. If there is any sect here which believe that Om ought not to be the symbol, it has no right to call itself Hindu. All will have the right to interpret Hinduism, each one according to his own sect ideas. But we must have a common temple. You can have your own image and models and symbols in other places. But do not quarrel here with those who differ from you. Here should be thought the common grounds of our different sect, and at the same time the different sects should have perfect library to come and teach their doctrines, with only one restriction, that is not to quarrel with other sect. Say what you have to say. The world wants it, but the world has no time to hear what you think about other people. You can keep that to yourself. Secondly, in connection with this temple, there should be an institution to train teachers who must go about preaching religion and giving secular knowledge to our people. They must carry both. As we have been already carrying religion from door to door, let us along with it carry secular education also. That can be easily done. Then the work will extend through these bands of teachers and preachers, and gradually we shall have similar temples in other places until we have covered the whole of India. That is my plan. It may appear gigantic, but it is much needed. You may ask, where is the money? Money is not needed. Money is nothing. For the last 20 years of my life, I did not know where the next meal would come from, but money and everything else I want must come, because they are my slaves and not they are I theirs. Money and everything else must come. Must, that is the word. What? Where are the men? Must, that is the word. Where are the men? That is a question. Young men of Madras, my hope is in you. Will you respond to the call of your nation? Each one of you has a glorious future in if you dare believe me. Have a tremendous faith in yourself, like the faith I had when I was child and which I am working out now. Have that faith, each one of you, in yourself. That eternal power is locked in every soul, and you will revive the whole of India. Yeah, we will then go to every country under the sun, and art's idea will before long be a component of many forces that are working to make up every nation in the world. We must enter into the life of every race in India and abroad. We shall have to work to bring this about. Now, for that, I want young men. It is the young, the strong, and the healthy, of sharp intellect that will reach the Lord, says the Vedas. This is the time to decide your future. While you possess the energy of youth, not when you are worn out or jaded, but in the freshness and vigor of the youth. Work this is a time for work. This is a time for the freshest, the untouched and unsmelled flowers alone are to be laid at the feet of the Lord, and such he receives. Rose yourself, therefore, for life is short. There are great works to be done, then aspiring to become lawyers and picking quarrels and such things. A far greater work is this sacrifice of yourself for the benefit of your race, for the welfare of the humanity. What is in this life? You are Hindus, and there is the instinctive belief in you that life is eternal. Sometimes I have young men who come and talk to me about atheism. I do not believe a Hindu can become an atheist. He may read European books and persuade himself he is a materialistic, but it is only for a time. It is not in your blood. You cannot believe what is not in your constitution. It would be hopeless task for you. Do not attempt that sort of thing. I once attempted it when I was a boy, but it could not be. Life is short, but the soul is immortal and eternal. And one thing being certain, that let us therefore take up a great deal and give up our whole life to it. Let this be our determination, and may He, the Lord, who comes again and again for the salvation of His own people, to quote from our scriptures, may the great Krishna bless us and lead us all to fulfill of our aims. Next chapter on charity. During this stay in Madras, the Swami presented at the annual meeting of the Chinnapuri Annada Samajam Annadana Annadana Samajam, an institute of charitable nature, and in the course of the brief address referred to the remark by the previous speaker deprecating special alms giving to the Brahmin over up and above the other classes. Swamiji pointed out that this had its good as well as its bad side. All the culture practically which the nation possessed was among the Brahmins, and they also had been the thinkers of the nation. Take away the means of living which enables them to be thinkers, and the nation as a whole would suffer. Speaking of the indiscriminate charity of India as compared with the legal charity of other nations, he said the outcome of their system of belief was that the vagabond of India was contented to receive readily what he was given readily and lived a peaceful and contented life, while the vagabond in the West, unwilling to go to the poorhouse, for man loves liberty more than food, turned a robber, the enemy of society, and necessitated the organization of the system of magistracy, policy, jails, and other establishment. Poverty there must be so long has the disease known as civilization existed, and hence the need for relief, so that they had to choose between the indiscriminate charity of India, which in the case of the sannyasi at any rate, even if they were not sincere men, at last forced them to learn some time of their scriptures before they were able to obtain food, and the discriminate charity of Western nation, which necessitated a costly system of poor law relief, and in the end succeeded only in changing mendicants into criminals.